The confusion those instructions caused were nothing compared to the confusion that came 16 years later. The story in a minute. The term 4 sections of land in the Constitution was ambiguous. Did it mean 4 640-acre sections? If it did, there was trouble because no such thing existed within the geographical limits of the orders because of the meandering Missouri River. 4 fractional sections could be found in central Missouri, but none seemed to be suitable. On the south bank of the river, commissioners did locate a bluff with a couple of natural openings, and a little bit further upstream is another bluff with 4 openings. Otherwise, there just wasn't much public land available. So they picked the 2 entire sections and parts of 5 others to make up an area equal to 4 entire sections. On the surveyor's map, it was constituted as Township 44, Range 11. But this is when the push came to put the capital city somewhere else. Cote Sandison, a village downstream. Angus Langham, who'd claimed ownership of land there, offered 446 acres, including the hill that gave the village its name, which is French for hill without design. The legislature laid the idea over until the November session and asked the commission for more study. So in November, the commissioners renewed their original recommendation. The Committee of the Permanent Seat of Government recommended the report be adopted with Cote Sandison named as the location. But then lawyers learned that Langham's title was no good. Finally, in December of 1821, the legislature and the governor approved the location of the city at Howard's Bluff, upstream from Cote Sandison. Then on January 2nd, word came from the surveyor of the St. Louis Land Office that Langham had filed a claim the previous June in the name of John Baptiste DeLille on fractional sections 6, 7, and 8, part of the package. No survey had been filed. In March of 1822, the commissioners met again and laid out a city. They decided to make it the first town in America to be named for former President Thomas Jefferson. The state government moved to Jefferson City in 1826, but 16 years later the entire situation was thrown into confusion because DeLille had sold his lands to a man named Godfrey LeSire and another man, Robert Dawson. They filed a lawsuit contesting the ownership of Lot 455. It caused alarm because that suit affected the title and the business lots of almost every principal business and residence in Jefferson City. It also affected the title to the lots containing the governor's mansion and the 4 blocks set aside for the capital. A court decision for those 2 would wipe out Jefferson City as the capital city. 2 of the 3 judges who made up the state Supreme Court owned lots involved in the suit. Lawyers agreed to let them hear the case. One, William Scott, still refused. The other, William Knapton, did, but refused to be part of the opinion, which was finally written by the last judge, Priestley McBride. And he ruled DeLille's claim was void because no survey was ever filed until after the state appropriated the lands. Furthermore, since his claim hinged on a swapping of land in the New Madrid area destroyed by the earthquake, he had to give up that land in the New Madrid area before he could claim the Jefferson City land. He hadn't done that. The Supreme Court of the United States affirmed McBride's ruling. The defendant in the final state of the suit, incidentally, was Thomas Lawson Price, later lieutenant governor and mayor of Jefferson City, who had a large mansion on Lot 455. In 1905, the state bought that lot and tore down the mansion and built the state's Supreme Court building there. Jefferson City remains the state capital, as it has since it became the seat of government on October 1st, 1826.
This Marketplace podcast is supported by Mingle, the agile project management tool for software teams focused on continuous improvement. Mingle's custom card walls and realistic reporting help teams start with familiar practices and change as they go. More at thoughtworks.com/mingle.
While you slept, the government stopped.
Investing, renting, sending your kid to college? Listen to the Marketplace Money Podcast. Find it on iTunes or at marketplace.org/podcasts.
From 8 p.m. in New York, good morning. I'm Mark Garrison in for David Brancaccio. Congress failed to make a spending deal overnight, which means the government shutdown we've been talking about is now reality. Some 800,000 federal workers won't be working, and many government offices closed. Marketplace's David Gura is covering the story from Washington. Good morning, David.
Hey, Mark.
Okay, many of us were asleep when all this happened at midnight. What's the latest?
Well, Republicans in the House didn't relent, and all along they said they wouldn't pass a spending bill that didn't scale back or delay parts of the health care law. The last bill they passed in the House late last night would have postponed what's called the individual mandate. That's the part of the health care law that requires Americans to have health insurance. For their part, Senate Democrats and the White House refused to budge, and they wanted a clean spending bill, one that wouldn't change the health care law in any way. So really, there was a stalemate, and there is a stalemate, and here we are.
Okay, David, and how long could this last? We also have the shadow of the debt ceiling needing to be raised later this month.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, that's anyone's guess. And as you said, we're right up against that debt ceiling. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew has said that the U.S. won't be able to pay its bills as of October the 17th unless Congress acts. I just talked to Julian Zelzer about that. He's a public policy professor at Princeton. And he said what happened last night is really going to rattle investors.
I think there are real fears in the business community that the inevitable resolution of the debt ceiling is not necessarily inevitable.
Now, that last government shutdown cost taxpayers almost $1.5 billion. That was back in 95, 96. Obviously, the cost of a government shutdown, Mark, is going to be greater the longer that it lasts.
Okay, we'll be watching that. David Gura in Washington, thanks so much.
Thanks.
And let's do the numbers. Stocks are mixed in global trading, down a bit in the UK, though German stocks are up. Asian markets closed mostly up. Yesterday on Wall Street, the S&P dropped 0.6%, ending at 1681. The Dow yesterday lost 0.8 to close at 15,129. The government may be shut down because of a health policy squabble, but Obamacare is up and running. This morning, the Affordable Care Act health exchanges go live, allowing Americans to shop for insurance online. To succeed, they'll need young and healthy people to sign up. But the so-called young invincibles are tough customers. From the health desk at WHYY Marketplace's Dan Gorenstein reports.
Brandon Rivera is getting his first taste of full-time work here.
Are you looking at getting more than 2 today? No. Okay.
At this cupcake shop in downtown Philadelphia.
I basically have to answer the phones, take orders, answer the emails, manage our social media.
At 22, Rivera is fit and healthy and exactly the type of young person health officials hope to sign up for Obamacare. The administration's counting on them to make the whole thing work by balancing out all the sick people who are expected to sign up. There's just one thing.
I don't really know much about it.
I mean, have you heard about it?
I've heard the name, but not anything that has to deal with it.
Rivera has plenty of company. A poll out this week found nearly 75% of the uninsured don't know the exchange is open for enrollment today. Rivera gets the importance of coverage. He lives in Camden, one of the most violent and impoverished cities in the nation.
The nightmare scenario will be like an accident. Like I could be walking down the street and probably get jumped and need to go to the hospital and I can't because of no insurance.
Rivera, who works full-time at the bakery, has only been to the doctor once in the last 3 years. And he only went because his strep throat got so bad, his mom made him.
I went to the emergency room and the bill ended up coming to like $1,000.
Rivera was on the hook for half the bill and the hospital ate the rest. And there's the problem. Rivera gets sick once in 3 years and it costs him $500, and it's not clear yet what it would cost him on the exchange, but it's probably more than that. That's why getting the Young Invincibles is such a tough sell.
I just basically want to know, like, how can it cover me? What are my options? And how much does it cost? Because financially, that's the most important thing.
Even paying the small financial penalty under Obamacare is cheaper than buying coverage. The thing is, it's going to take about 3 million young and healthy people signing up to keep insurance costs down for everyone else on the exchanges. I'm Dan Gorenstein for Marketplace.
Looking for a good read? Visit the Big Book blog at marketplace.org. Listen to author interviews and read excerpts from the Marketplace bookshelf. Online at marketplace.org/thebigbook.
Spain is considering moving its clocks back an hour as part of a plan to change work habits amid the deep recession there. Most of America already changes clocks twice a year. Marketplace's Sabri Benishur reports on the debate over the economic impact of that.
Daylight saving time started as a way to save energy during World War I. But nowadays,
we found that it costs more to be on daylight saving time, about 2 to 4%.
Laura Grant is an associate professor at the University of Wisconsin. She compared residential energy bills in Indiana before and after it adopted daylight savings time. Sure, we save on lighting, but
we also tend to use more air conditioning and heating.
Other studies have estimated slight energy savings of just 0.5%. There is a certain convenience factor, though, says Severin Bornstein at UC Berkeley's Haas School. He says people change their habits naturally according to timing of daylight, and businesses adapt their schedules to that. Daylight savings time allows them to do so all at once.
Instead of each company changing hours in different ways at different times, we have a day on which everybody recognizes that we just shift the clock forward.
So if you add up all the pros and cons, you get Plenty of ammo for either side. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore for Marketplace.
And finally, today, millions visiting Google's homepage will see the site celebrate the birthday of Yosemite National Park. But a web search is the only way to enjoy it right now. The government shutdown means the park is closed. So until the Washington deadlock ends, the handsome Google Doodle will have to do. In New York, I'm Mark Garrison. This is the Marketplace Morning Report. This is APM, American Public Media.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to bundle!
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Federal government shutdown.
It makes our country look really bad. It's embarrassing.
As lawmakers disagree up to the deadline. It's a political ploy.
It's about fairness for the American people.
In skirmish over Obamacare.
But websites to sign up are now open.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup.
God help us all. God help us all.
A frustrated federal worker turns to the heavens. A partial government shutdown took hold 8 hours ago as Congress failed to reach a deal on a spending plan. Our complete coverage begins with CBS's Bob Fuss on Capitol Hill.
The shutdown came as the House kept demanding changes to Obamacare they knew they wouldn't get, and the Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid rejected everything House Republicans sent them.
They are closing down the government. I don't know what in the world is wrong with them.
While some Tea Party Republicans wanted to shut the government all along, most, like Jack Kingston of Georgia, said they had right on their side.
Healthcare is 1/6 of the economy. Therefore, I think it's the right thing to fight over.
A number of Republicans and business groups warned this was a losing strategy and now hope to keep the shutdown short.
I'm Peter Mayer at the White House.
You don't get to extract a ransom for doing your job, for doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway.
President Obama's response to Republicans just hours before the shutdown holds this morning as he rejects their attempts to link health care law changes to this budget fight. He messaged the military after signing a bill keeping their paychecks flowing.
Those of you in uniform will remain on your normal duty status. The threats to our national security have not changed, and we need you to be ready for any contingency.
But there are no immediate contingencies for many other parts of the government as the shutdown takes hold.
I'm Vicki Barker. Most federal benefits are being paid, mail deliveries continue, and airport security lines are manned. But if today's the day you were applying for a new passport, or if you're a veteran waiting to hear about disability benefits, you're out of luck. The nation's park rangers are hanging up their hats. National Guardsmen are on duty, but without technical or office support staff. And all new medical research now on hold, including 255 cancer trials at the National Institutes of Health.
I'm Heather Bosch in New York at a building that houses employees for several federal agencies. I talked with Carmen, a clerical worker, as she headed in, not sure if she'd be sent home because of the government shutdown. She took it in stride.
To me, it's not that bad. There's others that it's worse.
She says she'll be okay, but worries about colleagues.
They've got family, they got kids. They depend on it.
About 800,000 federal workers are going to be furloughed without pay.
I'm Nick Einelli in Washington. The National Mall will effectively be closed. Museums shut down. Monuments surrounded by barricades. Fountains will even stop spraying water. The National Park Service has a warning for tourists. Planned events may be upended. Among them, an honor flight trip from Mississippi carrying more than 90 veterans to see the World War II memorial. Nick Einelli for CBS News, Washington.
What could the shutdown do to the economic recovery? CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
Economists believe that a short-term shutdown of a few days, maybe as long as 5 days, should not derail the economic progress of the country. But anything longer than a week, maybe 10 days, could start to impact GDP, or the gross domestic product.
After yesterday's stock sell-off, S&P futures are up 5 points this morning. The last partial government shutdown like this was back in late 1995, and it lasted almost 3 weeks. Well, the shutdown will not stop the focus of House Republicans' health care reform. Today, new insurance exchanges are opening up. CBS's Barry Bagnatto leads off our look at that.
Sign-ups begin today in the new health insurance marketplaces, and while Republican-led southern and Midwestern states are leaving residents scrambling for information, states embracing Obamacare are reaching out in a big way.
Learn about the changes now by visiting NevadaHealthLink.com.
To care for each one, every daughter and son, live long in Oregon.
Folding chairs were filled in this Northern Maryland Head Start classroom.
We are thrilled to have you all here at tonight's healthcare forum.
A lot of curiosity and questions about coverages, costs, and mandates.
If someone doesn't get it, does the fine